Hello everybody, I am Baltmatrix and I hope you're all doing well today. We have here a collection of Mini-Force Super Dinosaur Power Figures from SirToys.com. There are 6 figures in this set. According to the Mini-Force Wiki, there are actually 8 figures in this subline. Now this subline is called the Super Dinosaur Armorbots subline, and I picked all of these up at SirToys.com. Link is down in the description so you can pick it up, or this whole set up, for yourself. Now, the 2 that are missing are green and orange, and those are a Tyrannosaurus and another Stegosaurus. A quick Google search does find them having figures, but they're just repaints of blue and black, the Tyrannosaurus and the Stegosaurus, with slight remolds, very slight remolds. So what we're going to do with this video is we're going to take a look at each one of these figures up close at their alt modes, or at their dino modes, and then we're going to take a look at the figures themselves, because each one of these little figures are roughly the same, but they're all molded differently, and then obviously we're going to turn them into mecha. The first one up is the leader of the group, and that is Volt on his Tyrannosaurus. And the Tyrannosaurus's name is Tyraka. And I've got to admit, it looks pretty good. It's definitely a Tyrannosaurus. You can tell it's just going to stand up and do a thing. But I like the coloring and I like the overall molding of the figure. The mouth does open and close a little bit, so you can get some chomping action. I do wish he could look up a little bit better, but you've got to move the legs for that. And there's not a lot of posability going on with this thing, unfortunately. But the figure can ride on top. He's got some missiles up here, and the overall aesthetic works. The tail is posable, can point down and then go straight back. The front arms are posable. You saw the mouth open. And the legs act like they should pose a little bit more, but they don't. There is a hinge here that I expected, and then I kind of expected there to be another hinge right here at the ankle, but there isn't. And really, just having the legs straight up and down is the best I've been able to pose this little figure at. In terms of size of the dino mode, it's about the same height as a deluxe class figure in current Transformer scale. The little minifigure gets on via these pegs, and then it just sits on the top of the dino mode. And yeah, that's about it for the little figure. These little figures are pretty well, they're pretty good, actually, and they have more posability than I expected. The overall aesthetic of the figure works incredibly well, and it's very show accurate, so you've got the little dino thing going on there. And then the head sculpt is good, and these guys really have Power Ranger vibes to them. Not going to lie about that, and that was kind of the point of the show. Head can look side to side, but as soon as you move it to the side too much, it pops off. There is a ball joint in the shoulder, hinge joint at the elbow, and then the wrists have swivels. There is no torso articulation, then ball joint in the legs, and a hinge at the knee. So you can get some poses off, but I wouldn't, because the figure is a little bit top-heavy. And those feet, well, they're not exactly flat, so the figure does have a tendency to fall over, especially if you breathe on it. Armor transformation for Tyraka is incredibly simple. To start off with, fold the arms, or dinosaur arms, all the way up, come to the back and yank off the tail. The tail does peg in 2 spots. It slides in on a handle, and then there's a clip peg there. And then just fold that up and hear the ratcheting? Yeah, ratcheting. Come to the top, unpeg the arms, and fold them out. Then take the legs, swing them down, stand the figure up. Come to the dino head and fold that back. Come up front and the handlebars and flip them out to form a chest. Reach inside and flip up the entire back of the unit. Grab our little Volt figure, bend the arms 90 degrees, and then this whole section, or this whole figure, will just kind of snap into place in there in the back, and fold that down, and we're done. The armor mode we end up with looks fan-freaking-tastic. It's got some great posability. Yeah, that head is a little tiny in there, but overall, it works incredibly well. The whole figure just feels good. Yeah, you've got a bit of a backpack going, but what are you going to do? It's really cool. I think this is legitimately cool. Postability is pretty good. There, unfortunately, isn't any shoulder articulation, but swivel at the elbow, ratchets there, bend at the knee, and there is some hip articulation, though you have to be careful because you might snap his legs off. And then he's got ratcheting toes. So, yeah, you can get some okay-ish poses, but it's going to be kind of hard because there's no in and out, and the head can only turn so much. That's really the best pose I've been able to get off, but I think it's still cool. It's a really cool toy. Next up is Sammy and his dino friend Teryx. I will be the first to admit, this is by far the weakest of the dinosaur modes. It's literally just a robot mode folded up under a dinosaur, a flying dinosaur, and then, I mean, he's just practically straddled up there. He looks absolutely ridiculous. One thing we could do to fix it is to give him more of a mode or just where he's just laying on top, but then the head doesn't look up or down. That works a little bit better, but not much. And also, when you have the gun underneath, if you unpeg the gun, you really have to do fiddly things to get the figure to stay flush on the table, or on a table. Really, the only way to stabilize it is to use these feet in the back, which are on very, well, not super loose ball joints, but they're ball joints nonetheless. But the one thing that is cool, he can spin! Transformation for Teryx begins with coming underneath and grabbing the gun and just kind of unpegging it. Or just kind of, yes, actually unpegging it from this peg and these clips on the side. Grab the head and fold it all the way down. After folding the head down, come to the back, point the legs, the dino legs straight out, grab the tail and flip it up as far as it'll go and just rest the dino legs on the back. Then you can come under the wings, unpeg the tail, turn them 180, or 90 I should say, and unpeg the tail. Geez, unpeg the robot legs from underneath the wings, and then swing them down to form hands. Grab the dino claws that are on the outside, flip them in to form the arms, drop them down, turn them, and bring them down like this. And then the wings can just be clipped back or swung back a little bit. Before we put Sammy inside his mecha suit, we're going to take a look at the figure. Modeled in red. The red of the actual dinosaur bit is much darker than the red of the little minifigure. Though the head sculpt and everything else is equally good here, the red here is more of a, it's closer to a very, very lightish red. Not pink, but actually no, an orange red is more appropriate as opposed to the deep dark red that is his suit. To get Sammy into the armor, you put the arms exactly like you did with Volt, and then you have to drop the legs into the thighs like this, and then kind of push Sammy down, and then we could close the chest up over top of him. The armor mode we end up with looks really good. Really good. The clear yellow plastic does accentuate the rest of the figure. And overall, it's solid. It just looks good. The gun, I would love him to be able to hand carry it in use, but that works well enough. It's got a Megatron-esque vibe to it, I guess. The only kicker is that I don't particularly like the way it mounts to the forearm, but you can move the hand and then remount the gun. And then you definitely have a Megatron-esque cannon going. I would have also loved for there to be some paint underneath the wings. I can do that myself. Posability-wise, swivel at the arm, hinge in and out, swivel at the above the what would have been the elbow if it actually had elbow articulation. The wrists do articulate due to the transformation. Legs don't move at all. Not at all. They don't even bend it. They don't even have knees that bend. So, yeah, posability is brickish on this one. But so far, they've definitely got the Power Ranger vibe that I'm really enjoying with this line. Next up is Lucy with Trix, the Triceratops. The pink on the Triceratops works well. Pink, white, yellow highlights or gold highlights, and it just works. And riding a Triceratops is, well, this is pretty much how I would think you would. And I think this is how Dino Riders did it too. Posability in Dino mode is almost non-existent. Mouth doesn't open. The front legs are the only things that can pose, and they can only pose up and down. And then Lucy on top, well, it works. It overall works. It's fine. I really like the pink that Lucy is displayed with here. I think it's a much brighter, more powerful pink than we've seen in some Super Sentai or Power Ranger series. And yeah, head sculpt is perfectly show accurate. It works really well. Before we get into the transformation, I screwed up. I actually had it mistransformed. So I have the arm back here. According to the directions, the arm should be closer to the head. So there is a hinge here that I completely neglected to notice. And that goes forward. That makes the proportions work a little bit better, and then you can bring the arms down a little bit more, and that makes the figure a little bit more flush as opposed to being more angular like it was before. All right, now that I fixed that, let's get into the transformation. For the transformation, the first thing we're going to do is just take the entire rear section of the figure and ratchet it up and move the legs so that they're a little bit better proportioned and stand the figure up. And everything's ratcheting really nicely, but sometimes when these ratchets get a little loose or you put a little bit too much pressure on them, they just kind of go wherever they want to. Next up, for the arms, we're going to hinge them back down like this, and then grab the arm section and turn them around 180 degrees so that the fists that are on the bottom of the front hooves actually look like they're supposed to go there. So do the same thing on the other side, and ratchet that down, turn that at 180, and there we go. Then take the dino head and just fold it down, and take the dino crest and flip it back behind the backpack, and there we go. And then we can open up the backpack and slide the figure in there. Just a little word of warning, don't put the top of the figure in first, because getting the legs in the slots there in the back of the thighs becomes very difficult. So just kind of do feet first and then push the figure in from the top. Close it up, and then we can add the guns. Remember that tail that we split in half? Well, these things become cannons. At least I think they're supposed to be cannons, or maybe they're just supposed to be wings so she can fly around the battlefield. I don't know. That's real stupid, because there are pegs. There's a peg on one side and then a slot or a hole on the other. And I was thinking that maybe there was a way you could put them on the shoulders so that they look like they were cannons, like this. The other thing to do is to combine them like that, and then it will attach as a shield of some sort to the outer arm. Now maybe we could flip that around, and she's got a combat shield. I don't care. It still looks great. Now, I don't know about you, but this has some real Ryusoulger or Kyoryuger vibe to it. The main red and then blue and pink starting off Rangers. But I understand why that's not the case, because in this show, Volt, the blue guy, he's the leader, not the Red Ranger. Or Red Mini Force Agent. Agents. They're called agents in this show. Going over the posability is a little bit moot because the legs really can't do much, so you can't get a ton of dynamic poses out of it, even though the knees are ratcheted, and I thought the feet were ratcheted, but they're not. Shoulders are, in and out, swivel. Yeah, I mean, if it had other weapons, that would work, but as it stands, it's not super posable. Next up is Max and Brachia, and obviously it's a big yellow Brachiosaurus. Yeah, it would be nice if Max could sit down, but he cannot because the dino too big. Max, his overall look works. He's got the tightest ball joints of everybody. All of his joints are super tight for some reason. He has the same issue as all the others. If you turn the head, the head pops off. But, I like it. I would be Max because, well, I like Yellow Rangers. That's just me. Brachia's transformation requires parts forming like the others do, except, well, in this case, it's the head. Oh, and I forgot to show you the head. Actually, the mouth does, in fact, open. And then it's pretty much just, okay, we're going to fold up the tail, and then we're going to stand the rear legs up and turn the arms and fold these down, and that's it. Max gets a power loader, which I do appreciate. The back lifts open easily, and then we can just get Max flopped in back here. It sounds like I'm having trouble. I'm not. I'm just trying to rush. And there we go. Power Loader Max. Now the Dino head is supposed to be used as a weapon in this mode, which, what? How would, is this supposed to be an axe or a club or something? It just goes over the hand, like that. God, that's stupid. So the actual way you mount the weapon is fold up the fist, or on either hand, and then slide the weapon over the fist, and that's it. And he's got a giant Brachiosaurus head for a weapon. It'd be really nice if he had, you know, some kind of articulation so he could bend at the elbow or something. Fortunately, he does not. Ratchet in the shoulder. Ratchet at the swivel. Ball joint at the hips. That's it for the articulation. Still, oh, does the feet have? Nope, feet do not have ratchets. Still, I like the look of it. I love the power loader look of it. I just wish he had a better weapon than literally the severed head of a robotic dinosaur. That's real dumb. Next up is the team of Stegos and Leo. And yeah, it works. Black, white, yellow Stegosaurus with a dark navy blue mini-force person. Also, the character of Leo is known as Rio. And according to the show, he is, well, it almost looks like he's black, but it's like this deep, deep, deep blue. I'm trying to find what color the character actually is. Onyx black with cobalt blue eyes. So it's cobalt blue. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. The minifigure looks really cool. I love the darkness of the cobalt blue, and then the crest of the head with the Stegosaurus spikes being bright red works really well. There is this little fleck of red paint on his visor, though. Maybe put those in there to make him evil. Because, of course, he was evil before, and now he's a good guy. Transformation for Stegos is pretty easy, though you do have to remember to come to the back and wiggle the tail out because it's pegged in. Then split the tail in half, and you end up with a shield and a club or a mace. Put those off to the side. Take the dino head, fold that up underneath. Then the front legs will fold forward and grab them and extend them just a little bit. They don't feel like they lock into place all that tightly. Then come to the spikes or the plates and flip them out. Come to the back, flip the fists down and fold the shoulders down, and that's it. And then the back will open up after you move the Stego head out of the way, and we can drop Leo in there. The overall look of Leo in the Stego mode is, or Stego armor, works really well for me. It's all of my favorite colors combined. The black, the silver, the white, the yellow. So good. And I think he's got the best accessories. Giant dino club tail and a shield. The only thing I don't like is the shield can only be mounted on this arm. Just this arm, not the others. Posability-wise, his arms are on ratchets, but the plates get in the way. Bend at the elbow is very minimal. That's it for posability. That's it. And he's got a giant dinosaur head hanging off of his back. Oh well. Still, he looks so good. Alright folks, we're at the last figure, and that is Mega Shark, the Megalodon. And as far as I can tell, Aqua Agent is actually just Volt again. So, yeah. The shark works pretty well. Yeah, there are giant feet back there. You know what? I think any of you longtime Transformers fans or Giant Robot fans are going to be able to figure out how this one's going to work. The actual Aqua Agent is just a repaint of Volt. So, yeah, that does lend credence to the fact that this is just Volt in a lighter color. Transformation for Mega Shark, super simple. Come to the back and unpeg the legs. They do peg together and then peg into this little clip back here. Grab the fin and pull it apart and fold it back. This will become a sword. Flip the legs down. Come to the back section where the arms are, unpeg them and flip them forward, turn them and then fold them down. And then you can flip back the fins like that. Do that on the other side. Then we can come to the top of the or I should say the dorsal fin, fold it down a little bit, flip up this panel, and then we can flip up the whole section and then plop Aqua Agent in there. To get Aqua Agent up into the shark, you have to actually put the arms, instead of being perfectly, 90 degrees, kind of have to push them up a little bit, and then push everything up there, bring the legs down, push the hips in forward, and then we can close it up, because if you don't do it like that, then you won't be able to close the back up fully. And then give him the weapon, and we're done. And I gotta admit, this looks pretty darn good, except the powder blue, or the aqua head sticking up there is a little bit weird. The other thing that's weird is the ball joints in the legs. Super floppity! Like, almost noodles. Just shy of being noodles. So it doesn't hold the figure up very well. Also, the figure doesn't have any heels, which does not help stability. Even though those problems exist, it's still pretty cool and definitely makes me think of Gren Lagann more than anything else. Yeah, I do like the look of it. Here are the last three together and give you a deluxe class transformer. So as you can see, they're all about the same size as a deluxe class transformer. Definitely bigger in girth though. Lastly, before we leave, here's a size comparison with a deluxe class transformer. You get the overall idea on the scale. These things are great. They are a ton of fun. I like them a lot. They're just something completely different. I think the gimmick works well, and each one of the little agent figures are really posable, a ton of fun, and I think they could actually be used with other giant robots that I have around here just for fun. So folks, let me know what you think of this set down in the comments. Please head down to the description where there is a link for this entire set. You can pick it up from SirToys.com. They are not expensive at all, and they're a ton of fun. I'm going to be handing off all of these figures to my son, who's already looked at these and thought, yeah, these are pretty cool. Though he's not a fan of the actual armor component, he's much more into the dinosaur modes, which totally understand for a 7-year-old. 7-year-olds love dinosaurs. Thank you so much for watching this video review. I have been Baltmatrix, and I'll catch you all next time.